Hello and welcome to Game Club Coalition. I'm your host Sean, and today we're going to be checking out the Samson Q9U, which is a dynamic XLR and USB microphone aimed at content creation like streaming and podcasting. If you're interested in this, it'll set you back about $200. Currently, there's no post-processing, and I've got the gain set to about 40%, which you can change in Windows by going into the device properties of the microphone. If I have to bump it in post, I'll toss that up on screen. Now, let's see what's in the box. Inside the box, you'll get the microphone itself, a USB-C to USB-A cable, a USB-C to USB-C cable, and a phone windscreen. Since this does not come with a stand, you will need something to attach it to. The body is an all-metal construction and feels very high quality. It's got a lot of heft and weight to it that gives it that premium feeling. Now for the specifications. The capsule on this is dynamic with a humbucking coil to reduce the effects of electromagnetic interference. It is also internally shock mounted. The frequency response is 50 Hz to 20 kHz. It has a cardioid polar pattern and records at 24-bit up to 96 kHz, which is pretty high for a USB-C mic, as most only go up to about 48 kHz. Around the back, we have an XLR port and a USB-C port, which is nice to see on a USB microphone in 2021. We also have two switches. One is a low pass and the other is a mid boost. The low pass is going to cut out lower frequencies if you think that it sounds a little bit muddy, and the mid presence boost is going to give you that classic broadcaster tone, which I have set on right now. We also have a 3.5mm jack for zero latency monitoring, and it can run computer audio through it as well. Now to test the cardioid polar pattern, I'm speaking directly in front of the microphone. I'm going to rotate around 90 degrees to the side so you can hear the off-axis rejection and coloration. I've now moved around to the rear of it so that you can hear its off-axis and coloration. Around to the other 90 degrees so you can hear this off-axis sound rejection and coloration. And then back again in front of it. Next, we're going to be testing the plosives with and without the included windscreen. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now with the included windscreen. Please bring pizza pronto. Please bring pizza pronto. Now I'm right on top of the microphone. I'm about 1 foot from the microphone. 2 feet from the microphone. And about 6 feet from the microphone. Now I'm going to be testing the difference between a $50 blue Snowball ice. This is a condenser microphone, also with a cardioid polar pattern. No post-processing on this. We're just letting it rip, also at about 40%, but I may have to bump it in post. And now we're over at the Samson Q9U, testing this again. Seeing what it sounds like with the low pass off and the mid boost on. Again, testing it with the blue Snowball ice. This is how it sounds with no post-processing. And then back again to the Q9U with no post-processing, the low pass filter off and the mid presence boost on. Next and or final real test before I get into my thoughts is going to be a resonance test. So I'm going to go ahead and bump the desk now to see what kind of resonance comes through the boom arm that I have attached. And now on the boom arm itself. Ooh, those springs, man. And now on the microphone itself. I will say this thing seems to pick up a lot of sound transferred through anything that it's connected to. I first tried setting it up with my blue Snowball stand here on a table, and I noticed quite a bit came through, but it wasn't the end of the world. Once I had connected it to this boom arm, wow. I mean, I'm intentionally messing with this to try and get the worst case scenario. However, I do not recommend putting it on a cheap $10 boom arm with springs because that's not good. I've gone ahead and ordered myself a new boom arm, and realistically, whether or not I end up keeping this microphone, I think the upgraded boom arm is needed because these cheap ones, they are serviceable, I really think that if you're going to be moving this thing around, and in the area I'm in, I'm constantly putting it up and putting it away because I game and do a bunch of other stuff down here. I really think that that's going to be an upgrade that's needed. So watch out for that. Now, I saved that resonance test for last, as it was kind of my biggest disappointment here. For a mic that's supposed to be internally shock mounted, it really doesn't sound like it. I've listened to a lot of microphone reviews recently by Podcastage, which love his channel. Go check it out. I'll put a link in the description. Some of the stuff that I'm experiencing, I really only feel like I hear from ribbon mics, definitely not from dynamic or even condenser mics. I know a lot of stuff will transfer through, but for the Samson Q9U, which was a great value and highly recommended at the $50 to $70 price point. As a matter of fact, when I bought this blue Snowball, I wish I would have got that instead. However, this is supposed to be the upgraded version. Now, for something that's an upgrade, I'm not really sure that it's an upgrade in 100% of the areas, or that it's worth that $130 increase. Though I will say, I really do like the way that the microphone sounds out of the box with that mid boost enabled. And unless you plan on moving this arm around all the time, I don't think that that's going to be a huge problem. Now, I think visually this thing is gorgeous. Even with the windscreen on it, it gives it that classic broadcast microphone look like the Shure SM7B or the MV7. Unlike the MV7, you actually get to retain all of these great features like the low pass and the mid boost when you go to XLR. That was one of the biggest kind of downfalls with the MV7 that I saw, is that for $250 you are getting a pretty good microphone. However, when you switch from USB to XLR, you lose that capacitive mute, you lose the gain functionality on the microphone itself, and it's all software driven, so all of those cool features for it, toss them right out the window. Where you still get that here, and if you have any sort of mixed setup, like maybe USB at home, and you plan to take this someplace, or you have multiple setups in your house, you kind of get to keep all of that functionality across the board. And for anybody that is looking to upgrade, because a lot of times a USB and XLR microphone is kind of meant for like, yep, you're going to get it, plug it right into your computer, and then eventually you'll get some outboard kit where you'll get a mixer and then connect that and maybe some other parts. You get to keep all of those features and all of that sound signature that comes from this. So overall, I really enjoy this microphone. I'm going to be using it over the next couple of weeks before I really decide to keep this. I purchased it from Best Buy, so I do have a 14-day return policy. However, I do really like it. This sound is incredible, and I don't really have to do a lot of editing or post-processing on my audio, which I used to have to do a lot of with this. I would always compressor, EQ, normalize, limiters, all sorts of other tweaks to get it to sound good. And here, I barely have to do anything. It's plug and play, which is great for, you know, a streaming setup that you're getting a quality sound. You don't have to add a bunch of filters or run a bunch of software. At the end of the day, it just looks great. So it's really up to you whether you think that this is worth your $200, but $200 for this versus $250 for the MV7, or even $170, I believe, for the Yeti X or whatever the newest version is, you're going to kind of have to weigh that out on your own, right? I do think that this is a great option in the landscape for podcasters, streamers, and anybody else that's getting into this kind of content creation. I think that this mic puts some competition out there, which is much needed in this higher end range. And I really, really can't wait to see what this brings. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this or found this helpful at all, go ahead and give it a like. That really helps out the channel. And if you're interested in any type of gaming stuff, tech reviews we're going to be getting into a little bit more, because we want to do more than just games. We want to do the stuff that surrounds it and the peripherals that get used with it. Go ahead and click that subscribe button, because we're going to be doing more of these. So until the next time, Game Club out.